Hello, this is Harry Paden. I am the host of Paden's Pulpit. This is Season 2, Episode 25. Season 2, Episode 25. Today's subject, we have met the enemy, and the enemy is us. Part 2. The subject, we have met the enemy, and the enemy is us. Now, before you start to correct my syntax, that particular quote comes from a cartoon by the name of Pogo, P-O-G-O. It's a satirical cartoon that did political type ideology in the form of a cartoon. I believe it appeared in papers like the New York Times and other prominent, well-read newspapers. And basically, what that title means, as wrong as it is as far as the English language, is that sometimes you have enemies and you can identify those enemies. You say, that's my enemy, that's my enemy, that's my enemy. Sometimes you don't recognize the enemy because the enemy is you. Now, where are you going with this, Harry Rich Paden? Recently, the Supreme Court, made up of 6 conservatives and 3 liberal judges, mainly because of that orange guy that many of you allowed to get elected because you didn't vote for Hillary. Oh, can't vote for Hillary. Don't worry, Donald's gonna lose. And you sat yourself home and you allowed the shock of shocks that orange person was elected president. And we had 4 years of living hell under his lack of leadership. He was blatant about what he did, and he emboldened others who felt like him to boldly feel like him. Some of the things that he did, and he used his political presidential power, he wielded a strong hand, is he made sure and appointed Supreme Court judges that would make decisions like the decisions that are coming down. The first one was regarding abortion. Of late, it is affirmative action, particularly as it deals with college admission, and then also they shut down loan forgiveness that President Biden had put forth. And the reason they're doing that is because that's who they are. That's who they are. Many of you think they like you. You think they like you. And therein lies the problem. Let me give you my opinion on why I think the enemy is us. First of all, because we don't vote. We don't vote the way we should vote. Many of you watch BET, the awards program, and you can tell what everybody wore, what songs, who diss who, but you won't get up off your lazy mucus glucus posterior and vote. You're not registered voters, or if you're registered voters, you You voted for Obama and you thought you did something and you haven't voted since. That's why the enemy is us. One of the other reasons the enemy is us, did you know that we, as black people, have the spending power of $1 trillion? If we pulled our money and spent our money within our community, that $1 trillion would double each year by $1 trillion. So then we would have spending power of $2 trillion. But no, I gotta have my Dolce and Gabbana, whatever else the name brands are. I gotta have it Fendi and Bendy and Mendy, and cause you want to look just like them. Well, Wally Wall Street don't walk around in Fendi and Bendies. He walk around in sneakers and, little cheap stuff. And he invests his money in himself and in his community. We don't do it. So now we're upset, and rightfully so, because colleges will no longer give us that extra to help us get into their institutions, Harvard, some of the other Ivy League schools. I can't even think of them. They just roll off. I attended American University, not an Ivy League, but certainly up there in the high echelon. Lawyers, doctors, many prominent people go to American University. Our colors, it's located in Washington, D.C. Our colors, red, white, and blue. Our mascot, the eagle. So my counselors helped me, because I didn't want to go to the school. I didn't know about the school. But they said, Paden, you're so brilliant. We're going to send you to one of America's finest institutions, American University. And I got in there. Of scholarships and all the other things that happened because I was brilliant. Came from a very impoverished family. There were 12 of us. My mother died at an early age. No way in the world I could afford to get into American University without the help that I did scholarship-wise. But you know what? It turned out to be a total disaster because I got out there and I was like a fish out of water. I was among people who didn't really want me there. The school system I came out of educated me, undereducated me. And it was a disaster. I survived. But I should have went to a HBCU. What's a HBCU? That stands for Historically Black College and University, and they've been around for years. I write about black spending power, our $1 trillion black spending power. I write about the history of HBCUs in my book. I know you didn't read it. I know you know nothing about it. I'm not going to break it down for you. I'm not here to give you a lesson. It's in the book, found on Amazon. But that's why the enemy is us. The enemy is us. Because we keep going, you want to go to their schools. You want to go to Harvard. You want to go to Harvard Law School. How about this? I'm not that smart. But how about this? How about if we cultivated our HBCUs and made them the black Harvards? How about that? Where instead of trying to get into Harvard, we try to get into Howard. We try to get into Jackson State. We try to get into Morehouse. Did you know And there are some prominent blacks who went to HBCUs. Dr. Martin Luther King, Thurgood Marshall Jr., first black Supreme Court Justice. Thurgood Marshall went to an HBCU. Our current Supreme Court Justice, Ketanji Brown Jackson, went to a HBCU. Miss Oprah Winfrey went to a HBCU. And the Vice President of these United States, Kamala Harris, went to a HBCU. Those schools seem to have done them very well, if I say so myself. How about this? How about if we spent our $1 trillion buying power on cultivating our own, taking care of our own, training our own architects, training our own builders, training our own mathematicians, training our own computer scientists? How about us taking care of us so they want to be, oh, hi, Jim, how you doing? Yeah, I'm going to the south of France with you. Yes, Jim. They have a name for that. Stockholm Syndrome. Where you want to be just like the person who kidnapped you. Our people were kidnapped from our mother Africa. And Stockholm Syndrome is when you start to identify with the enemy, a person who aggrieved you, and you want to be just like them. Look up Patty Hearst, millionaire daughter who got kidnapped, and she ended up fighting right along with her kidnappers. I'm not going to be long. But what about that? Imagine that, as Nas says. You know who Nas is, the rapper? You know who that is. Don't front. Imagine that. If we spent our money in our community, we stopped giving them all our money. We stopped acting like their schools are so much better than our schools. If we stopped wearing their brands across our chests, the bottom of our shoes, the glasses. How about that? How about that? I am so tired of us begging. Oh, now they don't want us in these schools. How are we going to get into schools? How about going to a HBCU? How about that? How about going to a HBCU? How about that? How about going to a HBCU where you certainly will not be discriminated against? Many of them are struggling because they want to go to Harvard. They want to be somebody. I have seen the enemy, and the enemy is us. Wake up, everybody. Wake up. To God be the glory. God bless the I'm sorry. God bless the child that has his own. God bless the child that has his own. God bless the child that has his